Nurse Leah Ward stood over the rescue map with both hands shaking, while Colonel Rook pointed at the red evacuation line and ordered her to leave the command room. The old East Clinic had collapsed after the second tremor, trapping patients, families, and one missing child beneath a floor no one dared enter. Radios hissed. Officers stared at Leah like she was panicked, dressed in scrubs. "Run, nurse," Rook snapped. "That building is finished." But Leah did not move. She kept looking at the oxygen log, the hand-drawn map, and one tiny green mark no one else had noticed. Then, the buried rescue channel crackled once. A child's weak voice came through the speakers, soft enough to stop every breath in the room. And the name the child whispered made Leah turn pale. "Before this story unfolds, tell us where you are watching from. Leave your country in the comments and subscribe if you believe in courage under pressure, hidden heroes, hospital justice, community sacrifice, and the kind of emotional reversal that proves one life is never too small to fight for." The command room at Mercy General had once been a conference office where nurses argued over staffing charts and doctors drank cold coffee between rounds. That morning, it looked like the inside of a battlefield without weapons. Rescue maps covered the glass walls. Red tape marked collapsed corridors. Blue tape marked passable ones. Yellow pins showed oxygen caches, storage rooms, generator boxes, and places where search crews had reported tapping. A weathered radio tower sat on a folding table beside 3 hospital monitors, each showing a different camera feed from the damaged East Clinic. The East Clinic was not supposed to be full that early. It had been a community pediatric wing for low-income families, the place where mothers brought feverish babies, where grandfathers picked up prescriptions, where nurses knew children by their nicknames. Then the tremor hit before sunrise. The first one cracked windows. The second broke a support column. By the time Mercy General activated Disaster Command, a section of the old building had folded into itself. Now the command room smelled of dust, coffee, and fear. Nurse Leah Ward stood beside the main table, still wearing her gray emergency vest over wrinkled blue scrubs. Her hair had been tied back in a rushed knot, and a thin line of dust crossed her cheek, where she had wiped her face with the back of her hand. She was not supposed to be there either. She was a hospital nurse, not a rescue officer. She had no rank on her shoulders, no command badge clipped to her collar, no authority to tell firefighters where to cut or engineers where to brace. But she knew the East Clinic. She had worked there for 11 years. She knew the pediatric storage room had been moved 2 months earlier after a pipe leak. She knew the old hallway signs were wrong. She knew room E14 was no longer an exam room, but a child life corner with foam mats, plastic animals, and a cabinet full of blankets. She knew where scared children hid when alarms screamed, and she knew one child was still missing. "Tomas Moreno," she said, pointing to the family intake sheet. 6-year-old checked in at 5:42 with his mother, Elena Moreno. "Asthma review, routine medication, refill." Mother was pulled out near the west stairwell, conscious and asking for him. She says he ran back toward the play corner when the lights went out. Colonel Elias Rourke did not look at the intake sheet. He looked at the red line on the map. Rourke had arrived from County Emergency Command 30 minutes after the collapse, broad-shouldered, strict-eyed, and carrying the kind of voice people obeyed before they understood why. His uniform was clean when he entered. Now one sleeve was streaked with gray dust from the wall map he had touched too many times. "The East Interior is unstable," he said. "We are not sending another team into a blind pocket because a frightened parent gave a direction in shock." Leah swallowed. She was not guessing. She was rescued in a panic. She said he had his red dinosaur backpack. Rourke's jaw tightened. "That does not change the structure." Captain Jonah Reed, the rescue lead, stood between them with his helmet under one arm. He was younger than Rourke but looked older that morning, as if each minute had carved something from his face. We swept the west corridor, Reed said carefully. No sign of the child there, because he was not in the west corridor, Leah said. He would have gone to the plate corner. Rourke finally turned to her. Nurse Ward, every person in this room respects what you do inside a hospital. But this is not a medication chart. This is a collapse zone. The words landed hard enough that several officers stopped typing. Leah felt the heat climb her neck. She had heard softer versions of that sentence her whole career. Stay in your lane. Let command handle it. Comfort the family. Do not interfere. But this was Thomas. Mara Chen, Mercy's emergency director, stood near the door with a tablet in her hand. She had backed Leah once already when Rourke tried to send her back to triage. But now even Dr. Chen's face carried doubt. Leah, Chen said quietly, tell us again why you believe the child life corner is still reachable. Leah pulled the plastic overlay from the map and shifted it 2 inches left. Because this floor plan is outdated. The clinic renovated after the flood. This wall was removed. This storage closet became a pass-through. If Tomas ran from intake 2, he would follow the exit signs. He would follow the muralla. Rourke asked. Blue whales, Leah said, painted along the wall to calm children. It leads straight to the plate corner. He loved it. He called it the Ocean Road. For 1 second, no one spoke. Then Rourke exhaled sharply. We are not risking lives based on a mural. Leah looked down at the map again, at the old black lines that were lying to everyone in authority. Her hand moved to the green marker she had placed near the east interior. That corner has a wall-mounted oxygen access panel, she said. Not full supply. But if the pipe connection held, there might be breathable air in a small void. He has asthma. If he found the blankets and stayed low enough, Rourke cut. The words struck the room like a slammed door. Leah's fingers curled against the edge of the table. Rourke stepped closer, lowering his voice, though everyone could still hear. You are exhausted, emotionally involved, and operating outside your role. I will not let grief or guilt dress itself as rescue logic. Leah went still. Dr. Chen's eyes flicked toward her. Captain Reed looked away. Only Rourke seemed not to notice that he had touched the wound beneath the nurse's ribs, grief or guilt. Leah had both. 2 years earlier, during a flood evacuation at a rural care center, Leah had obeyed an order to leave a hallway before a secondary surge. She had survived. A little girl she had been trying to reach had not made it out in time. The official review cleared Leah. Her colleagues told her she had done everything possible. But no report could erase the sound of that child asking whether Leah would come back. Since then, Leah never trusted the first map, never trusted the first order, never trusted silence. Colonel, she said, voice low, I am not asking you to send a team into a death trap. I am asking you to verify a survivable pocket before you seal that side and move all resources north. Rourke pointed toward the door. You are done in command. Leah stared at him. Run triage, he said. Comfort the mother. Do what nurses do. The room reacted before Leah did. A few eyes dropped. Someone at the radio table shifted uncomfortably. Dr. Chen opened her mouth, then closed it when Rora's hand went back to the red evacuation line. Captain Reed picked up his helmet. Colonel, if we withdraw now, we regroup, Rourke said. We do not gamble. A radio operator turned up the volume on Rescue Channel 3. Static filled the room. Somewhere outside, a siren wailed and faded. Leah looked at the map, at the green mark, at the false wall, at the path painted with whales no officer had walked. Then she noticed something small on the intake sheet, a note written in a pediatric volunteer's handwriting. Tomas carries whistle, blue plastic, uses when scared. Leah reached for the radio microphone. Rourke grabbed her wrist before she could lift it. Nurse Ward, he said, each word cold with command. Step away. And then, through the static, faint and broken, came one small sound. Not a whistle, not tapping, a child's voice. Everyone froze. Everyone froze. The voice came back, barely there, whispering one word that made Leah's knees weaken. Leah. The command room did not erupt. It emptied itself of sound. No one moved toward the maps. No one reached for the coffee. No one whispered into a headset. Even Colonel Rourke's hand, still wrapped around Leah's wrist, loosened without him seeming to realize it. Static breathed through the speakers. Then came the voice again, thinner than before. Leah, I can't see. Dr. Mara Chen lifted one hand to her mouth. Captain Reed stepped toward the radio table. Boost that channel. The operator adjusted two dials, jaw tight. Signal is bouncing through internal maintenance repeaters. It is weak. Rourke released Leah's wrists. Leah did not look at him. She leaned over the microphone, careful not to touch the transmit button too quickly. A wrong transmission could drown the child out. A loud response might startle him. A command voice might scare him into silence. She knew children in fear. She knew how they listened for tone before words. Tomas, she said softly into the microphone. This is Nurse Leah. I hear you. A burst of static answered. Then, faintly, you came back? The room shifted around her, but Leah remained still. You came back? The words reached into a place she kept locked so tightly that even Dr. Chen, who had known her for years, had never been allowed inside. It was not Tomas who had said that sentence before. It was another child, another disaster, another hallway filling with alarms. Leah closed her eyes for half a second. When she opened them, they were steady. I'm here now, she said. I need you to be very brave and very quiet when I ask. Can you tell me what is near you? A pause. Something scraped faintly through the speaker. Blankets, Thomas whispered. And the turtle lamb. It's not on. Leah looked up. The play corner, she said. Captain Reed was already moving to the map. That confirms East Interior. Rourke's face hardened, but not with anger now. It was the expression of a man watching reality disobey his decision in public. Ask him if he is trapped, Rourke said. Leah pressed the transmit button again. Tomas, are you hurt badly, or just stuck? I'm stuck, he answered after a long crackle. My backpack is under me. My chest feels tight. Leah's eyes moved to the medication note. Asthma. Tomas, do you have your inhaler? My mom has it. Leah turned to Dr. Chen. We need pediatric rescue oxygen. Ready at entry point. Nebulizer kit. Now blankets. Chen nodded immediately and began issuing quiet orders through her hospital radio. Rourke stepped closer to the map. We still do not know the route. Leah pointed at the green mark. We do. From the old staff corridor behind pharmacy storage. It connects to the maintenance crawl beside the mural wall. One of the engineers shook his head. That corridor was listed blocked after the first tremor. Listed by old plan? Leah asked. The engineer looked down. Leah grabbed a dry marker and drew fast lines cutting across the official printout. Here. Renovation moved the storage cages. The wall marked solid. Here has a service hatch now. It was installed after the flood because the pediatric refrigerators kept losing power. Captain Real. Small, not full gear. Small, not full gear. One rescuer at a time. Can a search camera fit? Yes, Leah said. But the turn is tight. Rourke looked at her sharply. How do you know that? Leah hesitated. The room watched. Because she had crawled through it once during the flood repair. When a frightened boy with sensory issues had hidden behind the storage racks and refused to come out for anyone else because she had spent 20 minutes on her stomach in dust singing a cartoon theme song until he took her hand. Because nurses learn buildings differently than commanders did. Not as plans, as memories of people. I had to use it before, she said. Rourke's voice lowered. For what? A child. That ended the question. Tomas coughed through the radio, a small dry sound that made every person in the room tense. Leah turned back to the microphone. Tomas, listen to me. I want you to make your breathing slow like we practiced in clinic. Smell the soup, cool the spoon. Remember, a faint breath, then another. Smell the soup, Tomas whispered. That's right, Leah said. Cool the spoon. Captain Reed looked at her, something changing in his face. He knows you. Leah nodded without taking her eyes off the radio. Tomas Moreno had been in and out of the clinic since he was 3. Not for anything dramatic. Mostly checkups, breathing plans, school forms, the ordinary fragile business of keeping a small child well. He hated the exam table paper because it crinkled. He liked stickers, but only if he chose them himself. He called Leah Nurse Ocean after she walked him along the whale mural during his first panic attack. To command, Tomas was a missing child. To Leah, he was the boy who always asked whether whales slept. Rourke folded his arms. Captain Reed, assess feasibility. No entry until structural gives clearance. Structural will not clear it from here, Reed said. They will tell us what they already told us. Unstable, unknown, high risk. Then we do not enter. Leah turned slowly. The room felt the turn. He is alive, she said. Rourke's eyes flashed. And so are my rescuers. I intend to keep them that way. So do I. You do not command rescue personnel. No, Leah said. But I understand the patient. Rourke stepped closer. A voice does not make the void safe. Note, but it tells us we're not to give up. The words held there. Dr. Chen returned to the table. Colonel, we have a pediatric kit ready. I also pulled maintenance records. Leah is right about the service hatch. She handed him her tablet. Rourke glanced at it. For the first time, his certainty took a visible hit. Captain Reed pointed to the corridor Leah had drawn. I can send a camera first. No personnel beyond the brace section. We use the snake cam through the hatch. Confirm the void, then decide. Rourke looked at the red zone. And if the camera shows movement, then we plan a tunnel brace. And if it shifts, Reed did not answer quickly. That was the trouble with saving lives. There were always numbers in the room, and the numbers were never kind. Leah pressed the microphone again. Tomas, do you hear any sounds near you? Tapping, voices, water, something beeps, he said. Leah frowned. Beeps how? Like when the medicine fridge was angry. Her eyes snapped to the map. The vaccine refrigerator alarm, she said. That is in the relocated pediatric storage room. The engineer leaned over. He is near the shared wall between storage and the play corner. Captain Reed marked it. That narrows the void. Rourke's face tightened again. Or the sound is traveling. Leah looked at the speaker. Tomas, she said, can you touch the wall near you? A pause. Then a small scrape. It's cold. What do you feel on it? Sticker. What sticker? Another pause. A whale. Leah's throat closed. He is at the mural wall. Now the room truly changed. No one could call it panic. No one could call it imagination. The child had named the proof in the wall itself. Rourke stared at the green mark Leah had drawn before the voice ever came through. Captain Reed put his helmet on. Colonel, he said, we have a live child, a confirmed location, and a nurse who knows the interior better than our plans. Rourke did not speak. Leah watched him struggle between command and conscience. Then Tomas whispered again. Leah, she bent toward the microphone. I'm here. Don't let them run away. Every officer in the room heard it, and every face turned toward Rourke. Colonel Rourke did not like being watched. He had built his career in rooms where people looked to him, not at him. A command room needed a center, and he was used to being that center. The voice that reduced chaos into instruction. The hand that held people back when their hearts ran ahead of their judgment. But now the room had another center. A nurse in dusty scrub. Leah Ward stood over the radio as if her body itself could become a shield between Tomas and the silence. She had not raised her voice. She had not demanded applause. She had simply noticed what the map missed, heard what others dismissed, and spoken to the child in a way no command manual could teach. Rourke looked at Captain Reed. Camera only. Reed nodded. Camera only. No entry beyond marked safe line until I approve. Understood. Rourke turned to the radio operator. Record all transmissions. The operator nodded. Leah stayed bent near the microphone. Tomas, some helpers are going to send a tiny camera through the wall. It might make a scratching sound. It is not a monster. It is not the building moving. It is us looking for you. Okay, Tomas whispered. You keep doing the soup breathing. Smell the soup, he murmured. Cool the spoon, Leah finished. Dr. Chan touched Leah's shoulder briefly. It was not comfort exactly. It was permission. Stay. Captain Reed gathered his small team near the door. The command camera feed switched to a helmet view as he moved through the hospital's service corridor. Everyone in the room could see what he saw. Cracked plaster, hanging signs, dust lying over the floor like gray snow. No bodies were shown, no graphic scenes, only abandoned chairs, a fallen clipboard, a child's paper fish taped crookedly to the wall. Leah watched the screen with her hands clasped so tightly, her knuckles faded. The rout was worse than she had hoped. The staff corridor had buckled near the pharmacy storage entrance. A pipe had dropped low across the path, and emergency lights flickered in strange, uneven pulses. Reed's voice came through the command speaker. Approaching hatch, one of his team members cleared debris by hand. Another set a temporary brace. The engineer beside Rourke leaned forward, whispering measurements under his breath. Slow, Rourke said into his headset. No heroics. Leah nearly laughed, but nothing in her felt amused. No heroics. People said that when they wanted courage to come without risk, sacrifice without cost, miracles without anyone stepping close enough to be changed. The camera showed Reed kneeling at a small metal hatch half hidden behind a bent shelving frame. Word? Reed said over the line. Describe the latch. Leah took the radio. It sticks. Push in first, then lift. Not hard. If you force it, the hinge bends. Reed followed her instruction. The hatch opened. A narrow darkness waited behind it. The room drew in one breath. Reed fed the snake camera through. The image trembled. Dusts, a wall gap, torn insulation, a strip of painted blue, then the curved edge of a whale's tail. Leah whispered. There. Rourke said nothing. The camera moved another foot. Something red appeared in the darkness. A backpack. Tiny. Dinosaur print. Elena Moreno's voice broke from the doorway. Tomas. Everyone turned. A security officer had tried to keep her outside, but Elena had heard her son's name through the hallway speaker. She stood wrapped in a hospital blanket, one arm bandaged, face pale with shock and hope so sharp it looked painful. Dr. Chan moved toward her. Elena, you should be in observation. My son is in there, Elena said. Leah stepped away from the radio just enough for Elena to see her face. Wei heard him. Elena's knees nearly failed. Chen caught her. You heard him? Elena said. Leah nodded. He is talking. He is scared, but he is answering. Elena covered her mouth, tears coming silently. Rourke's expression tightened. Family should not be in command. Elena looked at him. Then bring my son out, and I will leave. No one corrected her. On the monitor, The snake camera shifted. Reed's voice came through. I have visual on backpack. No clear visual on child. Void continues behind storage panel. Space is tight but present. The engineer studied the angle. If that panel is load-bearing debris, pulling it wrong could collapse the pocket. Leah shook her head. The storage panel is not structural. It is a rolling divider. It locks into ceiling track. The engineer looked at her. You are sure? I clean crayon off it every Friday for 3 years. That should not have mattered in an official emergency. But it did. The engineer nodded slowly. Then if it is jammed, we can cut the lower rail. Rourke looked between them. And create vibration. Minimal, Reed said. Manual saw, no power tool. The radio crackled. Thomas coughed again. Longer this time. Leah moved back to the microphone. Thomas, I need you to answer me with one word if talking is hard. Can you feel air moving? Static? Thomas? A faint answer came. Cold. That is good, Leah said, making her voice warmer than the fear in her chest. Cold air means the room is breathing with you. Alina began to cry harder. Leah wanted to go to her, but she knew if she moved away, Thomas might hear another voice and panic. So Dr. Chen held Elena while Leah held the child through the radio. Rourke turned to the engineer. Time estimate. Unknown, he said. Rourke's eyes sharpened. That is not an estimate. The engineer stiffened. 20 minutes to brace the access. More to reach him. Less if the voice stays stable. More if we find another obstruction. Rourke looked toward the live feed. 20 minutes could save Thomas. 20 minutes could risk rescuers. 20 minutes could become an inquiry, a headline, a funeral, a miracle, or all of them, depending on what the building chose to do. Leah saw the calculation pass across his face. So did Elena. Please, Elena said. Please, Rourke did not answer her. He looked at Leah instead. You said you know that corridor. Yes. You said you have been through the service hatch? Yes. Could a child crawl from the play corner toward the hatch? Leah pictured the route, the narrow turn, the low pipe, the storage gap, the dust, Thomas's asthma, Thomas's fear of dark enclosed spaces. No, she said. Not safely. Rourke nodded once, as if that helped him keep the world in order. Then we extract. Captain Reed's voice came through. Awaiting authorization. The room waited. Rourke stared at the map Leah had corrected by hand, at the old official lines, at the green mark, at the red dinosaur backpack on the monitor, at the mother standing in a blanket, shaking as if prayer had become physical. Finally, he lifted his radio. Proceed with camera-guided access, he said. Manual tools only. No unnecessary personnel. Nurse Ward remains on communication with the child. Belena sobbed once. Dr. Chen closed her eyes in relief. Leah's breath left her body, but only for a second. Because the hardest part was not permission. The hardest part was keeping Thomas alive long enough for permission to matter. She pressed the microphone. Thomas, the helpers found your backpack. My dinosaur? He whispered. Yes, Leah said. He is still guarding you, for the first time. Thomas made a sound that might have been almost a laugh. Then he whispered something that made Leah's face change. There's another voice. The command room froze again. Leah leaned closer. Thomas, she said carefully. What do you mean, another voice? The speaker hissed. Then the child answered. Behind the wall. For a moment, everyone in the command room heard ghosts. Not real ghosts, but the kind disaster leaves behind inside the living. Every rescuer knew that a trapped child might hear echoes and call them voices. Every doctor knew low oxygen and fear could confuse the mind. Every officer knew one new sentence could turn an organized rescue into a wider unknown. Behind the wall, Rourke's first instinct showed on his face. Contain the claim. Verify. Do not let emotions spread. Leah's first instinct was different. She listened. Tomas, she said softly. Is the voice talking now? Static answered first. Then Tomas whispered. No, it was before. She said, don't cry. Alina gripped Dr. Chen's arm. She? Leah looked at the intake list. Only one child remained officially missing from the East Clinic, Tomas Moreno. But the intake list was not the whole building. The East Clinic also held staff, volunteers, a janitor, a delivery driver who had signed in at the side door. 2 patients had been found near the front desk and transported. 3 staff members had checked in from the courtyard. 1 volunteer was listed as unaccounted for, but dispatch believed she had left before the tremor. Leah's finger moved down the page. Lydia Park, she said. Dr. Chen looked up. Teen volunteer, 7-day reading program. She reads. She wears a yellow badge. Rourke frowned. She wears a yellow badge. Rourke frowned. Volunteer Park was reported off-site. By whom? Chen checked the digital roster. Her father called from home. Said she was not answering. He assumed she had not arrived. Leah always arrived early. She set out the picture books before clinic opened. Captain Reed's voice came through from the corridor. Command. Confirm possible second victim. Rourke closed his eyes briefly. 1 missing child had already bent the room. A second possible victim changed the entire rescue equation. Unconfirmed, Rourke said. Continue primary extraction. Leah turned to him. If Lydia is behind the wall, she might be closer to the storage room. Rourke said sharply. A child under stress, reported a voice. We do not redirect a live rescue on an unverified statement. We do not ignore it either. I said continue primary either. I said continue primary extraction. Leah looked back at the radio. Tomas, did the voice say her name? No, he whispered. She sang. What did she sing? The answer came broken by static. But Leah understood enough. The whale song, Tomas said. Leah covered her eyes for 1 second. The whale song was not a real song. It was a silly 4-line rhyme. Lydia had made up for children who were afraid of breathing treatments. Leah had heard it 100 times in the clinic. Lydia sang it while holding sticker sheets, while children pretended the oxygen mask was a whale bubble. Dr. Chen saw Leah's expression. It is Lydia. Rourke looked between them. You cannot know that. Yes, Leah said. I can. On the live feed, Captain Reed's team began sliding braces into place near the hatch. Their movements were slow, deliberate, almost tender. No one spoke unless necessary. The engineer adjusted the map. If a second person is behind the storage wall, there might be another pocket here. But access would require a different angle. How long? Rourke asked. Too long to start before Tomas is stabilized. Leah agreed, though it hurt Tomas first. But tell Reed to listen for tapping along the storage side. Rourke did not like being instructed, but he relayed it. Leah returned to the child. Tomas, do you still hear the beeping fridge? Yes. Can you hear the girl now? No. Okay. You did good telling me. I'm scared, he whispered. I know. My mom ran. Leah's eyes moved to Elena. Elena stepped forward, trembling. Can he hear me? Rourke immediately said. No. Leah raised a hand, not to defy him, but to slow him. Tomas needs calm, she said. 1 sentence. Control. Rourke's eyes narrowed. If the mother breaks down, she won't, Leah said. Elena looked at her through tears. Leah walked to her and lowered her voice. He needs your voice steady. Not big, not crying into the radio. Just tell him what he needs to carry. Elena swallowed again and again until she could nod. Leah guided her to the microphone. Press here, Leah whispered. Then speak. Elena pressed the button. Tommy, she said, voice shaking but whole. Mama is here. You listen to Nurse Leah. I am waiting for you. A crackle. Then the smallest reply. Did I lose my dinosaur? Alina laughed and cried in the same breath, but she held herself. No, baby, your dinosaur is brave. Leah took the microphone back before emotion could flood the channel. Thomas, your mom is safe, Leah said. Now I need you to save your breath again. Okay, smell the soup. Cool the spoon, he whispered. On the monitor, Reed's gloved hand reached through the hatch with the camera alongside it. I can see the lower edge of the divider. There is space beneath. Maybe 8 inches. Can you slide a soft line? The engineer asked. Trying. A thin rescue line appeared on screen, moving slowly under the panel. Leah watched it like it was a lifeline across the world. Rourke stood behind her, quieter now. She felt his presence, the tension he carried. He was not a villain, she knew that. That was the worst part. If he had been cruel, this would have been easier. But Rourke was strict because he had seen rescuers die from bad calls. He was harsh because he believed harshness kept people alive. He had told her to run not because Thomas did not matter, but because to him, the building mattered more. The trouble was that buildings never spoke. Children did. The rescue line advanced, then stopped. Reed cursed under his breath, barely audible. Obstruction. Rourke leaned forward. Status. Line is caught. I cannot push without shifting debris. Leah looked at the map. Where is he caught? Below the divider, right side. There is a floor mat rack there, Leah said. Metal frame with hooks. Reed's camera tilted. Can you describe height? Low. Maybe ankle height for an adult. It holds roll mats. I see it, Reed said. I can work around. The room began to feel different around Leah. Not softer exactly, but altered. The same people who had dismissed her minutes before now waited for each detail she remembered. The sticky latch, the rolling divider, the mat rack, the whale mural, the refrigerator alarm. Her knowledge had been ordinary until a child's life depended on it. Then it became command intelligence. The radio crackled again. Thomas whispered, Leah, I'm here. The girl stopped singing. Leah's chest tightened. Can you tap the wall where you heard her? I can't move much. That is okay. Do not force it. She told me not to sleep. Leah looked up at Dr. Chen. Chen's expression changed. Rourke saw it. What? Leah's voice remained calm, but her eyes did not. If Lydia told him not to sleep, she was conscious after the collapse. She might have kept him calm. She might still be near. We are not splitting the rescue, Rourke said. No, Leah said. But once Thomas is out, we do not withdraw from that pocket. Rourke did not answer. On the screen, Reed's hand finally cleared the snag. The rescue line slid forward, disappearing into the darkness. Line is through, Reed said. Command, I am getting movement. Alina began whispering a prayer in Spanish. Leah pressed the microphone. Tomas, do you see something near your backpack? A little rope? A pause. Yes. Good. Do not pull it hard. Just touch it so the helpers know where you are. The line trembled on screen. Captain Reed's voice changed. Contact confirmed. A sound rose in the room. Not cheering, not yet, but breath returning to people who had forgotten they were holding it. Then the building gave a low groan through the live feed. Everyone went still. Dust moved across the camera image. Rourke lifted his radio. Reed, back out. Leah's head snapped toward him. Reed did not move yet. Colonel, back out. Now, Thomas heard the change. Leah grabbed the microphone. Stay calm, Thomas. Are they leaving? Rourke looked at her, command and dread fighting in his face. The child whispered again, and this time his voice broke. Please, don't run. filled the command room differently now. At first, it had belonged to Colonel Rourke. Run, nurse, leave command, return to the place assigned to you. Let the people with rank decide who could be reached. Now it belonged to Tomas Moreno, trapped beneath the East Clinic, asking the adults above him not to abandon him to the dark. Leah felt something inside her settle, not calm, not fearlessness, something harder. Decision. Rourke's radio was still raised. Captain Reed, pull your team to the safe line. Reed's helmet camera showed dust drifting in slow gray sheets. The view shook once, then steadied. Colonel, Reed said. The movement stopped. You heard the structure. I did. You have a live team in a compromised corridor. So I also have contact with a live child. Rourke's face tightened. Do not make me repeat the order. Leah stepped between Rourke and the table. Give him 30 seconds to reassess. This is not your call. No, Leah said. But if Reed backs out now, Tomas will believe we left him. His breathing is already strained. Panic will make it worse. Rourke's eyes flashed. Do not weaponize the child's fear against my rescue decision. Leah flinched, but she did not move. I am not weaponizing anything, she said. I am telling you what will happen medically. Dr. Chen stepped beside her. She is right. Rourke turned on Chen. You too? Yes, Chen said. If Tomas panics, he might deteriorate before they can re-establish contact. The engineer added quietly. The shift sounded superficial. Dust released, not primary movement. I recommend hold position while monitoring. Rourke stared at him. The room had begun, person by person, to stand with Leah, not emotionally, not recklessly, fact by fact. Rourke looked toward the doorway where Elena stood wrapped in the hospital blanket. She did not bleed this time. She only watched him as if his next sentence would become the rest of her life. Leah pressed the microphone without waiting for permission. Tomas, she said, nobody is running. The helpers are checking the building before they move again. That sound was scary, but I am still here, static. Then a trembling breath. You promise? Leah closed her eyes. Another child, another hallway, another promise she had not been allowed to keep. She could feel the old flood water in her memory, though the command room floor beneath her was dry. She could hear a little girl named Annie asking whether Leah would come back. She could hear the evacuation officer shouting for everyone to move. She could feel the hands dragging her back because the corridor was failing, and because survival sometimes felt like betrayal. The official report had called it unavoidable. Leah had called it every night. Now Tomas was asking for the same promise. She opened her eyes. I promise I will keep talking to you, she said. And I promise every person in this room is working to bring you out. It was the only honest promise. Rourke lowered his radio. 30 seconds, he said. Captain Reed did not waste one of them. Checking braces, checking hatch, no further movement. Line still in contact. The engineer watched the live feed. Dust is settling. Reed's teammate placed a sensor near the hatch. A small graph appeared on one of the command monitors, showing vibrations in thin, nervous lines. Stable enough for continued manual access, the engineer said. Rourke looked at him. Enough? Enough to continue carefully. Rourke's jaw worked once. Then he said, proceed. But if the sensor spikes, you withdraw without debate. Understood, Reed said. Leah exhaled silently. The rescue resumed. A soft sleeve, carrying a small oxygen tube, was attached to the line and guided forward inch by inch. Leah explained every sound to Tomas before it reached him. You might hear a brushing noise. That is the helper sleeve. Okay, it might touch your hand. Okay. If you can, guide it toward your face, but do not stretch. I can try. The camera showed the sleeve vanish under the divider. A pause. Then Thomas coughed, but this time there was motion near the tube. "I got it," he whispered. Dr. Chen gripped the back of a chair. "Good boy." Leah smiled, despite the fear. "Thomas, the tube will give you fresh air near your face. You do not need to hold it tight. Just keep it close." "It smells funny." "That means it is working. It smells like the hospital." Leah let out a soft laugh. "I know. Hospital air is not famous for being delicious." A few people in command smile, fragile and brief. Even Rourke looked down for a moment, as if the ordinary joke had landed somewhere he had not protected. Then Captain Reed said, "I have partial visual." The camera angle shifted. For 1 second, the monitor showed a small hand near a red backpack strap. Elena made a sound that broke everyone's heart. "Thomas," she whispered. Leah kept her voice steady. "We see your hand, Thomas. You are doing perfectly." "My hand is dirty," he said. "That is okay. Mine too. Are you in the dark?" Leah looked around the bright command room, at the maps and radios and people who had nearly chosen withdrawal. For the first time, Leah wondered whether he had his own ghosts, a rescuer he had lost, a call he had regretted, a name that made him strict because gentleness had failed him once. The manual cutting began. No power saw, no sparks, no dramatic noise, just steady metal pressure, tiny movements, constant monitoring. Every few minutes, Reed reported progress. Every few minutes, Leah checked Thomas' breathing. Dr. Chen prepared medication at the corridor entrance. Elena waited with both hands clasped around the dinosaur sticker Leah had pulled from a clinic drawer and given her without thinking. Then the radio produced a sound that was not Thomas. 3 taps. Everyone heard them. Tap, tap, tap. Reed froze on the monitor. "Command, did you hear that?" Rourke leaned forward. "Repeat. Tap, tap." "Tom behind the wall." Leah looked at the map where she had marked the second pocket. The engineer's face went pale. "That is not echo. That is a response pattern." Captain Reed turned his helmet toward the storage side. "Possible second survivor confirmed by tapping." Rourke closed his eyes. The room that had once told Leah to leave now looked to her again. But Leah was looking at the radio. "Thomas," she said carefully, "did you hear the taps?" "Yes," he whispered. "That's the girl. Can you tell her we hear her?" A pause. Then, Thomas, tiny and brave beneath the rubble, called into the dark beyond him. "They hear you." The tapping came again. This time, it was 4 taps, a code. The engineer straightened. She might be counting people. Leah's stomach tightened, or answering yes. Rourke spoke before anyone else could. "Captain Reed," he said, voice rougher now. "After Thomas is secured, we expand the search to the second pocket." Leah turned to him. He did not look at her, but his next words were for the whole room. "And Nurse Ward stays on the radio." The first glimpse of Tomas Moreno's face came at 9:17 in the morning. No one in the command room would ever forget the time, because the digital clock above the main screen turned at the exact moment Captain Reed's camera found the gap. The image was grainy and dim. Tomas was half hidden behind the collapsed divider, curled beside his red backpack. A blanket twisted near his shoulder. Dust covered his hair. His eyes were wide, frightened, alive. Elena saw him and stopped crying. Not because she felt less, because the feeling had become too large for tears. Leah pressed the microphone with both hands. "Thomas, I can see you now." His eyes moved toward the camera. "You can?" "Yes." "Do I look scared?" Leah smiled through the ache in her throat. "You look brave and ready to complain about hospital air." His mouth moved slightly, almost a smile. Captain Reed's team worked the opening wider by hand. The sensor lines trembled but stayed below the danger mark. The engineer monitored every shift. Dr. Chen stood at the corridor entry with the pediatric mask ready. Rook remained at the map, silent but intensely focused, no longer blocking Leah's corrections when she gave them. A different command had formed, not weaker than Rourke's, wider. Reed handled rescue movement. Chen handled medical readiness. The engineer handled stability. Rourke held authority. Leah held the child. Every part mattered. "Thomas," Leah said, "Captain Reed is going to reach toward you. His glove might feel big and strange. He is one of the good helpers, like firefighters. Does he know my dinosaur? Not yet. You can introduce them after." Reed's gloved hand appeared in the gap. Thomas tried to move and gasped softly. Leah's voice sharpened with care. "Stop. Do not twist. Just let him come to you. I want out." Slow first, out second. Captain Reed's voice came through, gentle despite the helmet. "Hey, buddy. I am Jonah. Nurse Leah has been bossing us around pretty well, so I think we better listen to her." A faint laugh moved through the command room. Leah raised an eyebrow at the monitor. "Captain Reed, I heard that." "Good," Reed said. "It means the radio works." Even Rourke's mouth shifted, almost unwillingly. Reed secured a soft strap around Thomas, guiding each movement with Leah's calm instructions. It took several minutes. To Elena, it must have felt like years. She stood so still that Dr. Chen quietly placed a chair behind her. Though Elena refused to sit, the tapping behind the wall continued occasionally. Each time, Leah marked it. Tap, pause, tap, tap, then silence. The second pocket was alive. But Thomas had to come first. When Reed finally began the extraction, the entire command room seemed to move with the child's breath. The camera angle shook. The sensor line jumped once. Rourke lifted his hand but did not speak until the engineer nodded. "Within range," the engineer said. Reed kept moving. Inch by inch, Thomas slid toward the hatch. He whimpered once when his backpack caught. "My dinosaur," Leah answered instantly. "We will not leave him. But you come first?" "No, Thomas," Elena suddenly said, stepping near the microphone. Leah looked at her, then nodded. Elena pressed the button. "Tommy, dinosaurs, protect children, remember?" He did his job. Now let Nurse Leah and Captain Jonah do theirs. There was a pause. Then Thomas whispered, "Okay." Reed freed the strap from the backpack and pulled the child the final distance toward waiting hands. The live feed showed Thomas emerging through the hatch into the service corridor. Small, dusty, breathing, alive. For 1 second, no one reacted. Then the command room broke, not into chaos, into relief. A sound rose from officers, nurses, radio staff, engineers, the kind of sound people make when they have been holding back despair and are afraid to let hope move too quickly. Elena cried out his name. Dr. Chen ran to the corridor team. Leah stayed at the radio. "That surprised Rourke. You can go," he said. "The child is out." Leah shook her head. "Lydia is still in." He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. On the hallway camera, Dr. Chen assessed Thomas quickly and safely, speaking to him with practiced calm. No graphic urgency, no dramatic shouting. Just oxygen, warmth, careful questions, and a mother allowed to touch her son's hand while the team prepared to move him. "Thomas is stable for transport," Chen reported, scared, tired, breathing easier. Elena bent over him, whispering gratitude too private for the command room to own. Leah's eyes filled, but she turned back to the map. "Now, Lydia," she said. Rourke straightened. "Tell me what we know." The words were not soft, but they were different. He was asking her. Leah collected herself. Tomesh heard a female voice behind the storage wall. He identified the whale song Lydia uses with pediatric patients. Tapping confirms a second survivor. The pattern might be deliberate. Lydia might be in the storage side pocket, likely near the reading cart or refrigerator wall. The engineer marked a new access angle. The safest route might be above, through the corridor ceiling void. Reed's voice came through, tired but ready. That route is tighter. Can a smaller rescuer fit? Rook asked. Reed did not answer immediately. Leah knew what he was thinking before he said it. We have one medic on the team small enough, Reed said. But if we send anyone, they need to understand the clinic layout. Rourke looked at Leah. No, Doctor, Chen said from the corridor feed. Hearing it too. Absolutely not. Leah did not speak. Rourke's face became stone. Nurse Ward is not entering the collapse zone. OOA did not ask, Leah said, but the room knew she would. Chen returned to command faster than Leah expected. Her gloves removed, her expression fierce. Tomas is on his way to pediatric emergency. His mother is with him. Now listen to me. Leah has been essential here because she knows the clinic and the patients. That does not make her rescue personnel. Leah met her friend's eyes. Mara, no, I can guide them through the ceiling void. From here, the camera angle will not show the old insulation drop dot. They could miss the left turn, then draw it. I already did. Then trust them. Leah looked toward the live feed. Captain Reed's team had found a ceiling access panel near the service corridor. The space beyond was low, dark, and tangled with old utility lines. The engineer pointed to a section on the map. This void runs above the reading corner. If Lydia is below, we can drop a listening device first. Rourke seized on that. Listening device first? Leah nodded. Yes. No one expected her to agree. She saw Chen's shoulders lower slightly. I am not trying to die in there, Leah said quietly. I am trying to keep someone else from disappearing. Rourke looked away. The listening device was prepared. Reed guided it through the ceiling space slowly, while Leah described the hidden left turn, the low insulation curtain, the old speaker wire loop that hung near the reading corner. Every detail proved true. At the end of the passage, Reed lowered the device through a crack. The command room listened. At first, only static, then breathing. Not Thomas's older, shallow control. Leah leaned forward. Lydia, a pause. The speaker crackled. A young woman's voice, faint but conscious, answered. Is Thomas out? Dr. Chen covered her mouth. Leah closed her eyes. Rourke bowed his head. Yes, Leah said into the microphone. Thomas is out. He is safe with his mother. The breathing on the other end changed. Relief, fragile and exhausted. He was scared. Lydia whispered. You kept him calm. I told him whales know the way home. Leah pressed her fist to her chest. They do. Rourke stepped closer to the microphone. His voice, when he spoke, had lost all sharpness. Lydia Park, this is Colonel Rourke. We are preparing to reach you. A pause. Then Lydia said, Are you the one who told Nurse Leah to run? The room went silent again. Roar's face changed. Leah looked at him. He swallowed once. Yes, he said. I was. Static hissed. Then Lydia whispered. Good thing she didn't. No one laughed when Lydia said it. The words were too small and too true. Good thing she didn't. Colonel Rourke stood in front of the command table with every map, every radio, every officer, every mistake visible under the fluorescent lights. He could have defended himself. He could have said protocol demanded caution. He could have said the nurse had no authority, that the building was unstable, that risk had to be controlled. All of that would have been partly true. None of it would have been enough. He looked at Leah Ward, and in front of the room that had watched him dismiss her, said, "Nurse Ward, I owe you an apology." Leah did not seem to know what to do with the words. Her eyes flicked to the radio, the monitor, the map, anywhere but his face. Rourke continued anyway. "I mistook your knowledge for emotion. I mistook your persistence for panic. That nearly cost us the truth." The command room remained silent. Leah's voice came out quiet. Tomas spoke. "That changed the room." "No," Rourke said. "You listened before he spoke." That landed harder than the apology. Dr. Chen's face softened. Captain Reed's voice came over the line. "Command, I hate to interrupt the healing moment, but Lydia still needs us." A few people breathed out, almost smiling through exhaustion. Rourke picked up his radio. "Proceed." The rescue for Lydia was slower. Tomas had been reachable through the lower hatch, but Lydia was trapped in a pocket behind the storage wall where the reading cart, a fallen shelf, and ceiling debris had created a narrow chamber. She had been close enough to speak to Tomas through gaps in the wall, close enough to sing him through panic, too far to crawl out herself. She had not called for help at first, she told Leah, because she thought Tomas was more frightened and needed the air kept calm. "You should have saved your breath," Leah said gently. "I'm a volunteer," Lydia whispered. "We read stories. We don't let kids cry alone." Leah had to stop for a second before answering. "You did more than read stories today." The engineer and Reed worked out a careful plan. They would widen the ceiling access, lower a soft communication line and water tube, then remove part of the non-structural reading cart frame by hand. The process required patience that felt almost cruel. But this time, no one demanded speed for the sake of command pride. No one dismissed Leah when she identified the reading cart model by memory. No one questioned her when she said the lower shelf had rounded edges, or that Lydia often kept the picture books in canvas bins that might have softened the pocket. The room had learned to hear her. While the rescue team worked, Tomas was brought briefly past the command room on his way to a safer pediatric area. Dr. Chen had approved the stop because Elena asked, and because Tomas had asked for Nurse Leah. He lay bundled on a transport bed, oxygen near his face, his red dinosaur backpack resting beside him after Reed had sent it out behind him. He looked impossibly small beneath the blanket. Leah stepped into the hallway. For a moment, she was no longer the nurse who had challenged command. She was simply the woman a frightened child had trusted in the dark. Tomas lifted one hand. Leah took it carefully. "You did run," he whispered. Leah's smile trembled. "Neither did you. My dinosaur stayed too. He is a very professional dinosaur." Elena reached for Leah with both hands. "How do I thank you?" Leah shook her head. "You take him home when he is ready. You let him sleep with every light on if he wants. You let him tell the story wrong sometimes." Elena's face crumpled with gratitude. "He said you knew the ocean road." Leah looked back through the command room door at the map with her green mark. "I should have made them listen sooner," she said. Elena gripped her hand. "You made them listen in time." The words should have comforted her. Instead, they opened the old wound again. In time, not always, not before, not for Annie in the flood, but today, for Tomas. My BA mercy was not being able to save everyone. My BA mercy was letting the ones you saved teach you how to keep living. A call came from command. "Leah," Dr. Chen said. "Lydia is asking for you." Leah squeezed Tomas' hand once and returned. Rourke stepped aside as she entered, not because she outdrank him, but because the radio was hers now in a way everyone understood. She sat at the table. "Lydia, I'm here." The young volunteer's voice came weakly. "Did Tomas get his backpack?" "Ye, Dean, good. Your father called the hospital," Dr. Chen said gently. "He knows you are alive." A shaky breath came through the speaker. "Hi, going to be mad I came early." Leah smiled. He is going to be too busy hugging you. The rescue team cleared the final obstruction at 10:30. The sensor line jumped twice, and both times the room stopped breathing. Rourke almost ordered a withdrawal during the second spike, but the engineer caught the source, a loose panel settling after removal. Reed waited, checked, then continued. No one accused him of hesitation. No one accused Leah of fear. They were all afraid. That had never been the problem. The problem had been deciding whose fear counted. At 10:11, Reed reached Lydia. The command monitor showed only his shoulder and a sliver of yellow volunteer badge. Leah heard his voice grow gentle. "Hi, Lydia. I'm Captain Reed. Nurse Leah and your whales sent me." Lydia gave a faint laugh that turned into a cough. Leah leaned into the microphone. "Easy. Save your strength. You sound bossy," Lydia whispered. "I have been told." Rourke, standing nearby, lowered his eyes. Reed secured her carefully. The extraction took longer than Tomas because Lydia was older and positioned awkwardly, but she remained conscious enough to answer Leah's questions. She asked twice whether Tomas was still okay. Leah answered both times. She asked whether the books were ruined. Leah promised the hospital would buy new ones, even if she had to argue with finance herself. Finally, Reed's voice filled the room. "Lydia is clear." The reaction was quieter than before but deeper. People sat down hard. Someone wiped their eyes. The engineer removed his glasses and pressed the heels of his hands against his face. Dr. Chen turned away, shoulders shaking once before she mastered herself. Rourke walked to the radio table. He looked older than he had that morning. "Nurse Ward," he said, "will you come with me?" Leah followed him into the hallway outside command. For the first time all morning, the noise faded behind them. Rourke stood beside the wall of disaster notices, staring at nothing. "I lost 2 rescuers 7 years ago," he said. Leah did not speak. "Bad structure call. Too much hope, not enough caution." His jaw tightened. "Since then, I have trusted maps more than people under stress." Leah looked through the glass at the command room. "Maps do not cry." "No," Rourke said. "And they do not whisper from under rubble either." They stood in silence. Then he turned to her. "What I said about grief and guilt was out of line." Leah's throat tightened. He continued. "But it was not random. I saw it in you because I know it." For a moment, the strict colonel and the haunted nurse were just 2 people who had survived orders they still questioned. Leah said, Shao once asked me to come back. I couldn't." Rourke closed his eyes. "I know," he said, though he did not know the details. He did not need to. Leah looked down at her dusty hands. "Today Tomas asked the same thing, and you answered differently." "No," she said. "Today people listen." Rourke accepted the correction. Behind them, a soft commotion rose as Lydia was wheeled toward treatment. Her father's voice echoed from the far hallway, breaking as he called her name. Elena and Tomas were nearby, and when Lydia passed, Tomas lifted his dinosaur backpack weakly in salute. Lydia smiled. It was small. It was enough. By late afternoon, the East Clinic rescue map had been taken down. The red lines remained, but someone had circled Leah's remark and written beside it, "Confirmed survivor route." No one knew who wrote it. Leah suspected Captain Reed. Dr. Chen found her in the command room after everyone else had gone. Leah was standing alone beside the table, looking at the place where the radio had been. "You should rest," Chen said. Leah nodded but did not move. Chen came beside her. "You saved them." Leah shook her head. "Reed saved them. His team did." "You did. Even Rourke did. Once he chose to hear it. And you." Leah touched the edge of the map. "I listened." Chen put an arm around her. In the pediatric hallway, Tomas slept with his dinosaur backpack tucked beside him. Lydia rested 2 rooms away, while her father sat holding her hand. Elena had taped a drawing near Tomas's bed, a blue whale swimming beneath gray stones, carrying a tiny red dinosaur toward light. At the bottom, in shaky child letters, Tomas had dictated the words to his mother. Nurse Leah knew the ocean road. Rook saw the drawing before he left the hospital. He stood in front of it for a long time. Then he walked to the nurse's station and asked for Leah. When she arrived, he did not give a speech. He simply removed the command badge from his vest, the temporary one assigned to incident leadership, and set it on the counter between them. "You belonged in that room today," he said. Leah looked at the badge, then at him. "I belonged where the child could hear me," she replied. Rook nodded. Outside Mercy General's damaged East Clinic stood quiet under floodlights, no longer a place of panic, but a place people had refused to abandon. The rescue crews would work through the night. Engineers would argue with old walls. Administrators would promise repairs. Families would tell the story in pieces, each remembering a different moment. Some would remember the mother waiting in a blanket. Some would remember the volunteer singing through the wall. Some would remember the colonel apologizing. Most would remember the child's voice. But those who had stood in the command room would remember the silence after that first whisper, when all the maps and ranks and orders became smaller than one nurse's certainty. They had told her to run. Then the child beneath the rubble spoke, and the whole room finally listened. Some heroes do not enter with medals or titles. Some stand beside a radio, carrying old guilt, and refuse to let a small voice disappear. Leah Ward did not defeat command with anger. She changed it with memory, mercy, and truth. If this story moved you, share where you are watching from, and subscribe for more emotional stories of courage, hidden heroes, and justice found in the quietest moments.